my dear students. How are you? I think you are all well by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to NIVA Sumi School. I am Yamin Apu, an assistant teacher of mathematics, National Ideal English Versing School morning shift. My dear students, I am going to take a math class today for the student of class 7. Our today's topic is chapter 2 discussion, exercise 2.1, question number 7. That means question number 7 will be solved and some discussion will be held. Okay, and your lecture number is 32. My dear students, your homework number is 23. Okay, so let's start. In chapter 2 we have proportion, profit and loss. Today we will discuss only about the proportion. Okay, what is proportion and something like this we will discuss today. Proportion. Okay, in class 6 you have already learned what is proportion. Suppose 2 and 5 are two numbers. Okay, and we'll use the sign like this. This is the proportion sign. 2 proportion 5 is called. Okay, it is our proportion sign. Now in proportion we need to discuss about a ratio of multiple expression. What is a ratio of multiple expression? My dear students, suppose there are three numbers. Suppose it's 2, 3 and 4. 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and we use like this proportion sign. It is called a multiple proportion. Okay, multiple expression, proportion, ratio of multiple expression. That means here are how many expressions? 1, 2 and 3. If the ratio has 3 or more expression, then that ratio is called the multiple ratio. Okay, ratio of multiple expression. Now my dear students, after that we will discuss the successive ratio, but this ratio is called multiple ratio. What is this one? My dear students, suppose the length area, suppose it is, suppose there is a quadrilateral. Okay, it's a quadrilateral and it's a rectangle. Suppose its length is 4, its suppose its width is 2, and my dear students, its breadth, suppose its breadth is 3. That means this one is 3. Now we can consider this one as the proportion of length, proportion width and proportion breadth. It is equal to 2 is to 3 is to 4. 2 is what? 2 is equal to width. Okay, and 3 is what? 3 is height and 4 is length. Okay, this is our proportion of multiple. Now successive ratio. Suppose the is, you can find out the definition in your book. Okay, the definition you can find out in your book. Now we are discussing about the successive ratio. What is successive ratio? Suppose the age of son and father. Okay, the age of son is equal to 15 years. Suppose. Okay, and also age of father equal to 41 years. Now suppose age of mother equal to 37 years. Now we can get the ratio of son's age and father's age. Okay, son's age is to father's age. What will be our ratio? Son's age, father's age. Son's age is 15 is to father's age is 41. Also we can get the ratio of father's age and mother's age. Okay, it's father's age is to mother's age. That's equal to what? Father's age is 41 years and mother's age is 37. Now look, my dear students, in the ratio the first quantity is called, in the simple ratio the first quantity is called the antecedent and the second quantity is called the subsequent. Now look, in this first ratio, the subsequent is 41, and the second ratio, the antecedent is 41. That means in the first ratio's subsequent and the second ratio's antecedent is equal. So we can write down son's age is to father's age is to father's age is to mother's age. Mother's age. That's equal to what? That's equal to son's age equal to 15, father's age equal to 41, and mother's age equal to 37. That means we can write it down in a single proportion. That means it's called the successive ratio of this two ratio. Okay, of this first and second ratio, the successive ratio is got 15 is to 41 is to 37. The son says is to father says is to mother says. It is called the successive ratio of this given two ratio. Okay, and if the subsequent and the antecedent is not equal to each other of the given two ratio, then also we can convert it into the successive ratio. By how? Look, the students, suppose there are two ratios are given. Suppose it's 2 is to 5 and another ratio is 3 is to 4. These two ratios are given. Okay, this is our first ratio, this is our second ratio. These two ratios are given, and first ratio's subsequent is 5 and second ratio's antecedent is 3. These two are not equal, but we can convert these two ratio into a successive ratio. How? We must multiply the first ratio's antecedent and subsequent by the second ratio's antecedent, and we must multiply the second ratio's antecedent and subsequent by the first ratio's subsequent. That means we must multiply this antecedent and subsequent by this antecedent, second ratio's antecedent, by 3. We will get what? We will get 3. We need to multiply both the antecedent and subsequent by 3. We will get 6 is to 15. Okay, and these two ratios are equal. 2 is to 5, that's equal to 6 is to 15. And we need to multiply also the second ratio's antecedent and subsequent by the first ratio's subsequent, that means by 5. So if we multiply this ratio by 5, we will get 15 is to 20. Now look, my dear students, already these two ratios converted into this two ratio. That means 2 is to 5 is converted already into 6 is to 15, and 3 is to 4 converted into 15 is to 20. Now this two new ratio has as and subsequent and antecedent is equal. That means the first ratios subsequent and the second ratios antecedent are equal to each other. So we can convert it now into a single successive ratio. That means this ratio will be 6 into 15 is to 20. So the successive ratio of the given ratio 2 is to 5 and 3 is to 4 is equal to 6 is to 15 is to 20. I hope you have understood. The definition you can find out from your book, page number 20 and 21. Okay, now we are discussing about the proportion. What is proportion? The students, suppose there is again two ratios are given. Suppose the age of the son is 20 years. Okay, and age of the father is equal to 60 years. It's 50 years. Suppose it's 50 years. Okay, age of the son is 20 years and age of the father is 20 years. So what is the ratio? What is the simple ratio of age of the sons and fathers? Sons and fathers age ratio of age, okay, of sons and fathers will be what? Will be 20 is to 50. That means we can convert it into the single term. We can divide both the antecedent and subsequent by 10. We'll get 2 is to 5. Okay, that means our ratio will be sons and fathers will be 2 is to 5. Again, suppose another two ratio. Suppose the length of a a rectangle is equal to, length of a rectangle is equal to, suppose it's 35 meter, okay, and width of the rectangle, suppose it's 14 meter. So the ratio of width and length of the rectangle will be 14 is to 35, okay. That means this can convert it by into the single term. That means if we divide both the antecedent and the subsequent by 7, we'll get 2 is to 5 again. That means this two ratio, 20 is to 50 and 14 is to 35, is equal, because these two ratios can be converted into 2 is to 5 both. That means these two are called the proportional ratio, okay. These two are equal to each other. That means we can call that 20 is to 50, that's equal to 14 is to 35, because both the ratios are equal. Both the ratios can be converted into the same ratio, 2 is to 5. That's why these two ratios are equal to each other. From this relationship we can find out any quantity. That means if there are 3 quantities are given, we can find out the fourth one. That means this relationship can be written down as first quantity is to second quantity. I can write down quantity, okay. This is quantity. First quantity is to second quantity, that's equal to third quantity is to fourth quantity. And we know that the ratio can be written down as a fraction. So it's first quantity divided by second quantity, that's equal to third quantity divided by fourth quantity. Now by multiplication we can get what? We can get first quantity multiplication with fourth quantity, that's equal to what? Second quantity into third quantity. Second quantity multiplication with third quantity. Look, the relation is first quantity multiply fourth quantity, then we can get second quantity into third quantity if the two ratios are proportional to each other, okay. So if 3 quantities are given from this relationship, we can get out the fourth quantity, okay. And this is called the rule of 3. This relationship is called the rule of 3. You can find out any quantity if the given are 3 quantities are given, then you can find out the another one, okay. Now we are going to discuss about the continued proportion. What is continued proportion? This is so easy. It's like the successive ratio, but this is different, not the same, okay. We discuss about the continued proportion. My dear students, continued proportion is what? Look, suppose there are 2 ratios. It's 2 is to 4 and 4 is to 8, okay. These 2 ratio, for the both of the ratios, the subsequent is double than of the antecedent, okay. 4 is double than 2, 8 is double than 4. That means subsequent is double than the antecedent. Here is also subsequent is double than the antecedent. That means we can write down this 2 is to 4. This first ratio's first ratio's subsequent and second ratio's antecedent is similar. That is why we can write down this one, 2 is to 4 like this sign, 4 is to 8, okay. It's called the continued proportion. It's called the continued proportion, okay. 2 is to 4 this sign, then 4 is to 8. It's called the continued proportion. It's called the continued proportional sign, okay. Now we are going to discuss about the question number 7 of exercise 2.1, okay. Exercise 2.1, you should collect the question from your book, page number 27. The question is, ages of 3 sons of Mr. Kabir are 5 years, 7 years and 9 years respectively. He gave Taka 4,200 in the ratio of their ages. How much will each son get? That means the ages are given here. It's exercise number 2.1 Is question number 7, my dear students. Given that the three sons A's are A's are what? It's 5 years, 7 years, and 9 years. So the total amount of taka is given to them to their proportion. That means we need to find out the proportion of their ages. Okay, so the proportion of their ages will be what? It's 5:7:9. Okay, this is our proportion. Now, what is the total sum of all the quantities? Okay, also the sum of the quantities is 5 plus 7 plus 9. That's equal to 21. That means the sum of these three quantities are 21. Okay, now we can find out each of the son how many taka get. The total amount of money given by their father is 4,200 taka. Mr. Kabir give them. Mr. Kabir gave his sons 4,200 taka by in the ratio of their ages. So their ages ratio is 5, 7, 9, and the sum is 21 of the quantities. Now we can find out how much taka each of the son get. Okay, the amount get by the son whose age is 5 years is how many? Is 5 is his proportion, divided by 21 is the total sum of the quantities, and multiplication with 4,200 taka. This is the total amount of money get by the son whose age is 5 years. Okay, that's equal to how much? 21 cut by this one, we can write down it's 200. So it's 1,000 taka. Whose age is 5 years, he got 1,000 taka. Okay, like this we can find out the other two sons amount. Okay, like this the amount get by the son whose age is 7 years is how many? 7 is his proportion, and the total proportion is that means the sum of the quantities are 21. That's multiplication with 4,200 taka. That's equal to how much? That's equal to, you can cut this one by 200. Now 200 multiplication with 7, it will be 1,400. That means 1,400 taka. Okay, and my students whose age is 9, how much amount is get by him? The amount get by the son whose age is 9 years is how many? Is 9 is his proportion 21 is the total quantity sum, and 4200 will be multiplied taka. That means we can cut it down again by 200. We will get 1800 taka. So our answer will be, you must write down the answer also. I am not going to write down the answer. The answer is 1000 taka, 1400 taka and 1800 taka, because these amounts are get by the age of the son. The which age is 5 years, he got 1000 taka, whose age is 7 years, he got 1400 taka, and whose age is 9 years, will get 1800 taka. Now my dear students, look at the homework. Your homework is question number 9 from your exercise number 2.1. okay, you must do your HW very carefully, okay, and submit it every Saturday. You can submit the HW every Saturday from 9 AM to 3 PM. I hope you have understood my today's lecture. See you again inshallah. Till then, Allah Hafiz.